Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica Tarlov, along with Rachel Campos-Duffy, Joey Jones, Dagan McDowell, and Jimmy Fala. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Biden is out in Nantucket for Thanksgiving and grappling with the most consequential decision he'll have to make in his nearly 50-year political career so far. Will he run for re-election? The president, who just turned 80, taking time to talk with his family at the dinner table on what his next steps should be, calling it, quote, ultimately a family decision. It comes as he sees some other big leaders in his party, like Nancy Pelosi, step aside as Democrats cry out for a new generation. So whatever he decides is sure to send shockwaves throughout the Democratic Party and the country. But Biden isn't too eager to say what's on his mind.
Have you talked to your family yet about 2024, sir?
Thank you.
And as President Biden searches for an answer on 2024, his potential successor, Vice President Kamala Harris, isn't doing herself any favors with awkward moments like this.
Let's let them go.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. 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 Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Thank you.
Like a little awkward. Okay, and if Biden decides to run, his campaign is likely to look like this. The White House is putting out what it calls a Thanksgiving menu of accomplishments that people can use to talk up the president around the holiday table. I certainly used it myself. But before we get to talking politics, how was everyone's Thanksgiving? Jimmy?
Oh, JT, it was amazing. But my family doesn't know the difference between hospitality and a hazing ritual. So it starts out as like this friendly thing. 2 hours in, it just sounds like a Civil War battlefield. Everybody's moaning and achy and hurting. And then we burped and ate again. It was great.
Well, if you don't get stabbed in the back of a hand with a fork, it's a good day.
It's not a meal.
I was sick, so I didn't get off the sofa or really get out of the bed.
That's not that bad, though.
I love how Jimmy equated what happened to me on the battlefield to indigestion.
Stolen valor! Stolen valor! Right out of the gate. The nerve of this guy. He's canceled.
No, I'm kidding. Listen, my Thanksgiving was great. We had our actual traditional dinner on Tuesday, came up here on Wednesday, got to host on the couch yesterday, and then we went and saw the Rockettes and ate at Bill's Burgers, and my bank account is depleted, but my belly and heart is full.
Well, maybe if you weren't trying to tip the Rockettes, you'd have more money in that bank.
Listen, I
Tip
wish I
them
would
like
have.
this.
Yeah. Maybe don't make it rain.
I wish I would have sat closer. That's all I'm saying.
I was just going to say, was the Rockettes for your beautiful daughter or
Yes.
Joey?
There's something for everybody.
Something for everybody. I love it.
How many kids did you have home?
We only had 7. Only 7 this time. But it was a wonderful time. Everyone really prepped. So I put on my Instagram my kids did that whole fast forward out of all of us prepping, on Instagram. So yeah, we worked all together the day before. So actually, it wasn't too bad yesterday. And Sean fried the turkey.
Sean's face
nice.
looked puffy this morning. I saw him on TV, and I was like, what was he doing last night?
He was up late.
Yeah.
He was up late. So.
This woman cooked the night before hosting on Fox and Friends. So,
I did.
Listen,
well, but
super
I had help. Big families mean teamwork.
Yeah, I just love that you pulled an Elon Musk and laid off 2 kids. That's hilarious. Sorry, we're downsizing.
All right. So let's shift gears to what I presume is going to be some Biden bashing from you guys.
What do you
Joey,
mean?
I'll go to you first. Where do you think Biden is going to land on this? Obviously, the midterms went better for Democrats than expected. My guess is he's going to run. Is that what you think as well?
Yes, I think he will run. I
Right.
don't see why he wouldn't unless he has true old age creep in, which I think is an absolute possibility. I mean, heart disease, anything could happen to someone that gets older. I mean, that's just kind of part of it. So true health problems could prevent it. But if he feels like he can physically do it, I don't know why he wouldn't. I mean, he does have a mandate he can take to the Democrat Party right now from the midterms. Doesn't mean that it's a winning strategy for 2024, but within his party, he's got a mandate.
All right. I like that answer.
Ooh.
Jimmy, let's see if you can live up to this standard. So Biden's popularity has been ticking up since the midterms, which is what typically happens when there's a good performance. But let's say that he decides not to run, and then there's a huge free-for-all going on. Are there any names, and put yourself in the mentality of your show, your radio show, which is about bringing people together, so try to be nice. Are there any Democrats that you think would throw their name into the proverbial hat that would pose a challenge for Republicans?
Stacey Abrams.
Well, then she'd have to vacate her gubernatorial seat she won in 2018. So the Abrams thing's complicated. I honestly don't know who would fill the void, but I don't think he's running, and here's why. I really don't think he's running. I don't think he can handle the rigors of a full campaign. And what I mean by that is he didn't have to run in 2020. The pandemic allowed him to stay home watching Bonanza while the media campaigned for him. There were more Elvis sightings in the summer of 2020 than there were Joe Biden sightings. And I don't begrudge him that. He's at an advanced age. You know, they say everyone ages differently. I believe he's 80, but he's like a young 95. I don't think he could get out there and do it. And I know it's not going to be Kamala because they're already at the stage of the administration where she's getting pretend jobs. Did you just see that video of her being a Walmart greeter down at the fish hatchery or whatever they sent her?
Like in the Philippines.
Yeah, they don't even know who she is. They don't even know what she's saying. But this is a really quick thing. This is a thing people with kids do, and you could speak to this, you could speak to this. When you have a busy house and you have kids getting in the way, you give them pretend jobs. Like, hey, Lincoln, do you want to go get the monsters out of the washer machine? He's like, oh, boy, monsters? And he runs down to the washer machine. They're now doing that with the vice president. They're like, hey, you want to go get the monsters off the dock? She's down on the dock saying hello. It won't be her. That's my only guess.
Yeah. The Philippines is deeply offended that was the comparison that you just made.
Oh, they love me.
Dagan, do you think it's possible that Biden isn't going to run?
If somebody decides to step in and take the car keys away from him before he gets into the parking lot, and I mean the car keys of the United States, it would probably be, and I'm speculating, obviously, it'd probably be a family member because it's his right. He's the president of the United States. This is his to decide, period.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people might say about him behind closed doors. But I want to just bring up these talking points from Ron Klain about what to tell that uncle when he comes at you at the Thanksgiving table. That's what they actually think about conservatives, that you got this dense lunkhead at the dinner table who can't see, hear, smell, or taste fictitious propaganda. Instead, I thought it was bad, deplorables bitterly clinging to their guns and Bibles. This is bad. And instead of talking at that conservative uncle or aunt or child or parent, they should be listening right now. To quote Judge Judy, put your listening ears on and find out what financial hardship from inflation is really like. And if they're not listening now, they're going to be listening a year from now when the economy's in a deep recession and home prices have fallen 30 to 50%, they're going to be listening and begging conservatives to pay attention to the Democrats.
So, Rachel, I'd love to get your thoughts on whether you think it's only liberals that feel like they talk past conservatives, or if the conservatives feel that about liberals, because that's my impression,
It's definitely
right?
only liberals.
Okay, well then I guess don't answer that part of the question.
Thank you. Listen, let's talk about whether he's, and by the way, if you need talking points to explain
It's a
stuff,
joke. I mean,
no,
it's not
what
like
what I'm saying, they sent that out.
Yeah.
And
This
so if
isn't
you
a
need
joke.
talking points, your economy is not very good, and your foreign policy is also not very good, and that's why they do that. But can I talk about the decision to run? Because I understand something about that as a family. It is a family decision.
Yeah.
So the Biden family is sitting in a $20 million donor-lent house.
Yes.
on the heels of a Vogue wedding where the Hunter's daughters had this Princess Diana length tulle veil going off the balcony into the Rose Garden. They act like they're royalty, okay? Yeah. And they're going to decide whether they're going to. Of course, they're all going to sit around the table. This is a family that loves money and is willing to sell out our country in order to get money. Of course, they're going to come out and say, yeah, definitely, let's run again. Let's do it. So I think they are going to run again, and I think it's shameful because as they're making this decision, they're totally tone deaf. All of these moves that they've just made, this Vogue spread, so tone deaf. Americans are suffering. Let me just say this. There's a 40% increase in first-time use of food banks. And those food banks, the shelves are empty because Americans don't have extra to give to the phone banks, even though we're the most generous people in the world. These are terrible times. I have no idea how they did so well in the midterms. I suspect it's a lot of the indoctrination of young people. We can talk about that later.
And that's what this was geared towards.
Big tech. But I think they are running again. They love the money, they love the power, and they love the position.
My favorite point on the talking points is at the end, where it says you have to give 10% of your mashed potatoes to the big guy. I thought that was aggressive. I think it was very aggressive.
Yeah, it
Hunter
was.
probably
It
loves
was,
the
'cause
executive
I love
privilege.
Jimmy. I love
in
Jimmy.
the,
Stop
full
it.
court press of the White House to be on his back, or have his back.
Yeah.
Things would be different if I weren't leading this block, and I would have more talk time to refute everything that just came out of your mouth, Rachel.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.